Hey there, Nick Hackers here. In this video, I'm going to attempt to live code a shell script that allows you to toggle between dark and light mode in various terminal applications. I'm also going to be throwing this script up on my .files repo, so if you wanted to grab that and apply it on your end, that should be easy to do so. But before we get into writing the script here, I do want to go over something that is very personal and dear to me. So I try really hard to keep my personal life outside of YouTube, so I apologize for inserting some personal stuff into a tech video, but this is really important, at least to me. And we definitely live in interesting times now in 2020, definitely way different than 15 or 20 years ago, which is when I started to actively practice the things that we're about to talk about here. And honestly, it's something I've known well before then, basically since you can think about such things, like I just have this preference, and it's not really something I can control, right? I don't know, born this way, like whatever you want to call it, like I just have this preference, and that's how it is. And I can't believe I'm putting this out there. It's about time I come out of the closet on this one. I prefer using light themes, and that's why I'm making this script. So I know for creating YouTube videos or any type of video content, it's usually a little bit easier to read when someone is using a dark theme, right? The contrast ratios are typically a little bit better on dark themes. But when it comes to writing my course notes or, doing any type of programming work, I really do prefer using light themes. And, I just want to let you know that you're not alone if you happen to use light themes yourself. So that's why I wanted to make this script. I wanted to be able to quickly switch between light and dark for a number of different programs. Now, if you've been following my .files repo here, you'll know that, a couple of months ago, I switched to using Vim 1. But originally, I was using a different version of Vim 1 that only had a dark theme. But now, as of a couple of days ago, I pushed a commit here that switched over to using Vim 1. And you can see here from the screenshot that you can use both a dark and a light. And the light one even has really good contrast ratios as well. Like I wouldn't feel bad about using this in like a presentation or whatever. And yeah, the Vim 1, like Revbox over here, has really, really good language support for a lot of popular web frameworks and stuff like that. That's why I really like using these themes. So now let's get into creating this upcoming shell script where hopefully by the end of the video, you'll be able to run a command that just switches all of these different terminal apps from light to dark and then dark to light. So typically when I'm developing a shell script from scratch here, I like to start by putting it into my local bin directory. This directory is on my system path, and it means anything that's in here I can just run from anywhere in any directory. You can see here I have a couple of symlinks too for like latest releases, notes, TCC, and MakeSAS. Most of these I've actually done videos about them in the past. Not the one about MakeSAS, but that's a story for another time. So this is going to be no different here. So the first thing I'll do here is create a toggle a dark mode script. And since it is a script, it does need to be executable. And then from here, it's a matter of just creating the script. Now, since we didn't put a .sh extension on this one, Vim has no idea we're operating with a shell script. So you can see there's no file type mode set here at all. So you can fix that just by explicitly setting the file type to be shell. And now we'll have access to all sorts of good stuff like syntax highlighting and snippets and all that great stuff. But when you're working with a shell script, the first line needs to be the shebang here to set your environment. Like we're going to try to make this a shell script instead of using bash, just so it's POSIX compliant. But we will see how that goes as time goes on. But the cool thing about this though is once we set that line, we can save the file and then reopen Vim. And since Vim is able to look at the very first line in this file, and it knows that it's a shell script based on that, so we don't need to set the file type to shell every time. But I also, at the top of all of my scripts, I like to use set E, and that just basically makes the script exit out if it encounters an error at any point in the script. So like if you had like, I don't know, 3 different commands here and you didn't set E, and let's say that the first command blows up, then your script will continue going on to like the second step and then the third step. But with set E, if this first command threw an error, then the script is going to exit out like over here, and like these commands never execute. It's just a good practice to do that because it avoids like, weird edge cases that your script can get into. Then, when I'm programming anything, it's kind of silly, but, I like going with the hello world because it's just a very easy win. So now, I am using tmux here. So typically when I'm working with a shell script, I do have my shell script on the left here and, an ability to run it on the right. So if I run toggle dark mode now, then we get our hello world. pretty neat. But this, keep in mind the font size is zoomed in a lot, so normally I would have a lot more working room here if I were developing this on my own. But now that we have the hello world working, let's think about how this script needs to work. So there's a couple of different things that need to have their color changed. So we have Vim here, right? Everything is set to dark mode right now. But we also have things like tmux, right? These vertical line colors, maybe some stuff here on the bottom, right? These are switching between tmux windows. Then we also have the terminal itself, like, the prompt color, the background color when you're not in a specific application. And then you also have things like FCF. So FCF is a fuzzy matcher, and I use that on the terminal here and also in Vim as well. And you can see it has its own colors here. So those are all sorts of different things that need to change. And all of these colors are basically set in different config files. So the way I imagine this script will work is it'll look in those specific config files for specific strings. If they exist, then they will be replaced with something else. But before going into what files need to be changed, like the logic of something like a toggle would be, I would expect to run toggle dark mode. And then, if it is dark mode, then it'll be toggle to light mode. But then if I rerun it again, it's going to be like, oh, well, now it's light mode. Now it needs to change to dark mode. So there will need to be some condition in this script that checks to see like what mode we're in right now. And I think the easiest way to do that would probably be looking at the vimrc file, because if I take a look here in this other window here in my vimrc, which is open in another Vim instance, I guess, and we take a look here at set background equals dark, I think that's a good thing to always look for to determine if we're in dark or light mode, because then we can just look at this file. We'll be like, okay, well, if set background is equal to dark, then it must be dark mode, so switch it to light. So let's actually see how that might work. And for that, we can use grep, and we can just grep for set background equals dark, and that's going to be in my vimrc file. And we can see that we do have a match here. If I do a search for light, then that's not going to be a found match because it's set to dark mode. So I think that's basically what our condition can be. It can be, if we grep for set background equals dark, and we do that on the vimrc file, then we have else and this. We can be like, well, switching from dark to light. I guess that's what that would be. And then the other way around would be switching from light to dark. Okay, cool. So let's see how this works. I guess I can run it from here. So we'll do toggle dark mode, and we can see here we are switching from dark to light. That's because the condition is true, right? Because it found set background equals to dark. Now, this is actually not modifying the script at all. So let's just do some hard coding here, and I'll just make this light. And then if we rerun this script, I would expect this to be switching from light to dark. Great. So it looks like that grep solution is going to work for us. So let me just switch this back to dark one more time just to double check. Yep, it is all good. But one thing I don't like here is, it's showing the grep result there. So maybe what we can do is we can just drop in a -q there to be quiet mode. And now if we rerun it, then, we just get the toggle message that we want here in the echo. But really, who cares about echoing this? Like, now we start needing to do the real work. And that will be updating these files to basically modify certain lines. And I don't know if you know this, but I'm a big fan of using sed. And sed has this -i flag that you can pass in that allows you to do inline edits. And what's really interesting about this is you can just tell sed, hey, I want to look for something like, let's say, this string here, and then replace it inline with something else. So basically update the file. Now, the interesting thing about this is on macOS, when you use inline replaces with sed, and this is something I just know from the past because I've run into issues like this writing scripts for some of my courses because I have people using Linux and macOS and all sorts of different things. It's not really fully compatible. There's like things that you need to be very aware of, and it just gets very complicated to use sed. And what I found in the past was there is a perl command that you can run. So if I actually go into some of my Let's see, it's build SAS v2. I think it's in here. I do have this make SAS script that I created a while back, never on YouTube because it's just part of the course. Not really super important, but what's interesting about this one is I do have a perl command in here that does the very same thing that sed would do with inline replacements, but it actually works on Linux and Mac OS. So that is something that we're going to snipe and borrow it in the script here. So this is very similar to using sed find and replace, except it's using Perl, and Perl is installed by default on Mac OS and Linux. So we are good to go on that front. So we will be searching for background equals dark. And what do we want to do? We want to replace that to be background equals light. And then the same exact thing we want to have happen down here, except that, you know, we want to do light to dark instead, right? So this will be dark instead, so the opposite. And now if we actually run this script here, then we will see. Okay, cool. Yeah, it would be nice to actually type in the file name for this replacement. So let's put in vimrc over here for both of these. And there we go. And now let's toggle that. Okay, no output is expected. But now let me just go ahead and take a look here at my vimrc file. And if we go down here to color, it's somewhere down here. There we go. So the background is set to light. Excellent. And now if we rerun the script here, this should be set to dark now. Yep, you can see automatically it just switched over to dark. So that's the perl command doing its magic here, which will work on pretty much any distribution of Linux and Mac OS. Beautiful. So now we're able to see if it's dark. If it is, go to light, else light to dark. Vim is now handled. But I understand that a lot of folks are using NeoVim, not Vim. So I kind of don't like the idea of hard coding this config path here. So maybe it's a good time to do something like vimrc and just put where this is. So I'm just using an environment variable for home instead of tilde. I think it's a little bit more explicit. And there we go. Then next up, what do we need to do here? We need to replace this with the variable in a couple of spots here. So that will be quotes vimrc, and then repeat that a couple of times. I have some videos on YouTube that go over, you know, those shortcuts that I just hit there. This is basically like the Vim equivalent of multiple cursors, except it's not quite multiple cursors. But let's see if this still works here. When we toggle that, that just changed to light. It's light right now. I'm going to toggle again, and there it is, dark. Excellent. So now it would be maybe a good idea to change the terminal theme itself, right? The actual shell of a terminal. And, you know, I am using Microsoft Terminal here. And if I go and take a look here at my settings, this is going to be super small. It opens up in Notepad by default. But I do have this one theme here called 1/2 dark. And lucky for me, I was going to say fortunately for me or us, 1/2 dark, there's also 1/2 light. And it's basically the light variant of this. So all we have to do is look at this config file and maybe change 1/2 dark to be 1/2 light. So it's going to be the exact same pattern here. We're just going to be searching for a different string, replacing it with a different string. And then also, you know, it's going to be a different file. So as for where this file is located, I'm actually going to double check my dot files on this one. It's somewhere inside like the Windows user directory. I think it's this one over here. So it's in C users nic app data local packages. Okay. So if I go here, C users nic local, was it app data, not local? Yeah, app data local. Okay, there we go. Local, capital. I always forget that with Windows. Packages, and then it was like Microsoft something terminal maybe. No, I'm gonna have to go check this one out. So Microsoft.Windows terminal. So Microsoft.Windows terminal. And I know, so one thing I've recently done is, and you can't see this in my taskbar, but I've been fooling around with using the preview version of Microsoft Terminal, which gets features a little bit faster. I've been running that for about a week now. Seems to be pretty stable. I kind of like using that. So I'm going to go with this one over here. And if I cd in there, like what's going on here? Okay, so there's more stuff that we need to go into. So it's in local state. Got it. Okay, so cd local state. And then from here, I guess this is where the settings file is. Great. So I'm going to copy this long path here. Drop this in. Let's call this one terminal config, I guess. Like this path will be different for you. because your username is not going to be Nick, it's going to be something else. Maybe if you're not even using the Microsoft terminal, it'll be the path to wherever yours is. But also need to add in, what was it, settings.json. Okay, so then we'll copy this. This is going to change to 1/2 dark. That's going to change to 1/2 light. No, not life, light. There we go. And this is going to be the terminal config, right? It's not the RC file. Cool. And then copy that, bring that down here. This will be just changed to light, and this one will be changed to dark. And then with any luck, that should do it for this one. Let's see how this works. So toggle dark mode. There we go. So the font size got way smaller because I do have the font size set to like 9 in my config. So maybe just for the sake of the video, so there's not that much bouncing around, maybe I can just change this to like, I don't know, like 30 or something. 30 is way too big. Okay, what about 20? Does this give us enough space? I think maybe even a little less we can probably get by with. 18. All right, cool. Let's go with that. So you can see though, that when this was changed, the whole terminal shell started to turn white. So if I go to like a different window here where I don't have Vim open, you know, this is starting to look pretty reasonable, right? If I go back to that local bin directory from before and we take a look here, you know, this is a light theme. This is starting to look kind of nice. And we can even see too that tmux, it looks like maybe tmux is using like a transparent color for the background here. So it doesn't matter if you're using dark or light, it'll just be automatically switched. So let me just toggle this here again, and there we go. We can see that things are switching pretty good. But now speaking of tmux, one thing I don't like about the light one, if we go back to light mode here, is if I split this, I don't know, this line to me is a little distracting. Like it's a little bit too focused, right? I want this to be a little bit lighter, because if we go back to dark mode and we take a look at that, you know, it just blends in a little bit more. And I kind of like that because the focus is on like what I'm typing, not like, you know, window decorations. So the next step would be, let's say the tmux config. So that is going to be located in home directory under tmux.conf. Cool. Yep, that's there. But what needs to change here? Well, I don't know. Let's see. So this will be tmux.conf. And of course, you know, I've done this without the script before. Like I already pre-figured out the colors I wanted because, you know, I was doing this manually for a bit until I figured like, wow, it really needs to be scripted because there's way too many things to change. So the idea here is these pane colors, and you know, there's one that's for the regular pane color and the active one. So, you know, if you can see, it's very subtle, but when I click on the left here, this is, you know, this vertical line is being colored differently. Like the active one in my mind here is the right one, which in my mind is the bottom one. So like that's the one that's getting a little bit brighter. Likewise for the left, it works just like that. And if I do a horizontal split, then we can see this one's a little more obvious, right? It's like you're in the top here, so all of these are a little bit lighter. You're down here, you know, these are a little bit lighter. So that's what we need to do. We need to change these two colors at the very least. It looks like the status style, I'm pretty happy with these colors for both dark and light. Yeah, I'm gonna roll with these for now. So these both need to change to something else. The other variant, what was the other color? Okay, so it needs to change to 250 and 253. Okay, so basically add 10 to those. Got it. So we need to basically copy this, right? Can just use some Vim hotkeys there. I don't know why I reached for the mouse on that one. Honestly, when I use Vim in practice, it's very organic. Sometimes I use the hotkey, sometimes I use the mouse, like whatever happens to work. So what do we need to do? We need to do pane, border, style, foreground equals color 240. Okay, so I'm going to take this and then copy that, bring that over to here, change this to be 250 because that is going to be the light mode. And then we just take this whole thing and we copy that, paste it. What's the other one? It is the active border. Okay, so that's going to be active border. This is going to be pane active border. That's going to be 243. That changes to 253, and that takes care of one of the toggles. Starting to get a little messy looking here because the font size is so large. So let me just zoom into this tmux pane here so we can get rid of the sidebar. And then from here, we just need to do the opposite. So this is going to be 250. This is going to be 253. And I just used Vim there to do a replacement on just the one character, right? You can hit R and then the number or character you want to change. That comes in handy there. So now we just basically did the change there, but now we don't want to do terminal config. We want this to be tmux config, right? So I can just select that, do this, tmux config, and then boom, boom, boom. But this one actually needs to be terminal config because we didn't want to replace that one. Great. So what am I doing here? We have Vim terminal, then we have two tmux config things that are being changed. There's a 253, there's there, boom, boom, and boom, boom. So now I think if I go back and toggle here, we should get tmux to change these colors. Okay. Well, the pane still looks to be dark, but let's see, we didn't like reload the tmux config, and I have that bound to leader R. So when I do leader R now, it looks like they did change, which is awesome. So let me go back to here, make it dark, go over here, do the leader R to reload, and we're done. So tmux now is changing, which is great. But maybe is there a way to do a way to basically send leader R here so that that happens automatically, because I don't want to have to do that manually. That's sort of annoying to have to do that. So I would want this to happen regardless of what condition is matched. So, I want this to happen to both. So maybe I can just do something like tmux source file, and then that is going to be the tmux config. And by the way, like if you run leader and you hit colon, you can start typing in these commands here, like source file is a command that you can type, and then you just, pass in the config, and that does the sourcing. But the cool thing about tmux is like a lot of those tmux commands that you can run like that, you can also just run them straight from the command line. So if I actually go down here, like I have a custom bind for this somewhere. Where is this at? Yeah, here it is. So like when I hit leader R, it just sources the file tmux.conf. So instead of just doing it like that, now it's just going to happen here like this. So let's see if this actually works. Unknown command source file equals. Oh, maybe there's no equals there. I'm not sure. What about now? Okay, there we go. And then if I go here, oh, sweet, it actually does work. So these are light. And now if I go back here and go to dark, then yeah, these are dark. Like this is pretty good. Like that was actually way easier than I thought it would be. I thought it would be a little bit more complicated than that one. Beautiful. Now, next up, what is the last one that we need to do? So the last one will be FCF, I think, because if I do toggle dark mode now, and I start using FCF, well, also I need to source my vimrc file, or not open my vimrc file. I need to source my vimrc file because now, we've switched to light mode, but Vim itself didn't get updated. Like the active Vim instance didn't get updated. And this one I just know from previous experience is it's a battle not worth fighting, because typically the way I work is, I have tmux running like 8 different sessions, and I might have like literally 15 copies of Vim open. I have no idea how to even begin to modify the process of all of those Vim processes to basically send the command to basically reload my vimrc file. Like that could be a battle that lasts multiple hours with no outcome. And I just know that because I've tried to solve this in the past before with other problems. If you know how to do this, let me know in the comments below. That would be amazing. But for now, I think this is going to be one of those things where you just have to bite the bullet and do the, sourcing your vimrc file from within Vim. You can just run source vimrc like that. I just have that bound to a hotkey. That's how I did it without typing before. If I do this and I just do source Vim, like that gets switched over just like that. And that is leader SV. So it's like leader source Vim. Accidentally before I did leader EV, which is to edit my Vim file. This is all in my .files, by the way, in the vimrc file. But it looks like this is actually all working here. But FZF is going to be a little bit lame. But you can see now that FCF is set to light mode, which is quite nice. But if I reload that to dark mode and I do FCF again, actually I need to reload my Vim there. And now it is dark mode. So that's actually kind of interesting. How is FCF changing from light to dark like that without this script modifying anything. That is actually super interesting. So maybe FCF here, if I do a search for like Docker here, okay, so that is dark mode. So if I go back to dark to light mode and I rerun that again, yeah, there we go. This is what I was trying to demonstrate. So you can see it's still ugly. It's still set to dark mode instead of light. But I'm really confused on how the Vim FCF automatically got set up, but whatever. Maybe it's two different config files that operate like this, because I do know just from previous experience before, if I take a look here at my bash rc file, here we go, somewhere near the bottom-ish is some configuration options for FCF. So I do have this default option set to dark, and this is controlling FCF inside of Vim and outside of Vim. So that's why I was confused at how this got set to light on its own, but okay. But ideally, what we would like to do is set this to be light from within our script. So if I take this line here and copy that, and then we can bring that over here, and we also just zoom out of that, then we can make this change here, just like we've done with the perl commands, right? We can just copy that command, bring that over down here. There we go. And what are we going to do? We are going to change export FCF default ops equals, we need to escape the quote, and then that is going to be color equals dark. And then there we go. Whoop. And what do we want to do? We want to now change that to be light. I guess theoretically I can probably do -- color equals dark, but I just want to be more explicit on the match to make sure I don't get any false positives there. Because maybe there's some other stuff in this file that has -- color or whatever. I just don't want to have to worry about that. So you can't go wrong, just a little bit more typing like this. Yeah, it works for me. So there we go on that. This is also going to be, I guess, your bash rc file. Maybe let's just call this like rc config maybe, because in case you're not using bash. Okay, so then there is going to happen there. And then this will be, what did I name this? rc config. rc config is going to be home directory. Well, there we go, home directory. And then that is going to be bash rc file. And then, does this look good? I think so. And then this one is going to be the opposite of that. So this one will be light, and this one will be dark. There we go. And now if I do this toggle again over here, and I take a look here at this Vim, well, there we go. So color equals dark, great. So if I do it again, I would expect this to be light. Is this going to be light? Yeah, cool. So that works totally fine. Let's test it out maybe. I'll go to this window here and I'll do a Control R, and it is still dark. So why is it still dark? Do I need to like maybe re-export this variable in the script? Possibly. I don't know. Maybe I can just source my, what is it? What did I name this thing? RC config, right? That could totally possibly work. So let's see if that works. Toggle dark mode, source not found. Oh yeah, okay. Because it's a shell script and source is only available for bash, not shell. There we go. Cool. So what about now? Does that work? Oh, Control R. No, doesn't work. Okay. Well, that is interesting. Huh, how did it even begin debugging this one? I know that is an alias for source, I think, give or take. Does that make any difference in the outcome? No? Well, hold on. If I'm running the script here, maybe it only affects this terminal. No, I guess that doesn't make a difference. What to do, what to do, what to do, what to do? Well, what if I just exported, all right, just as a test, what if I just export FCF default ops equals color light, like that? I just want to see if that does anything. Control R. Okay, it's dark. That's not good. And then I guess it's still going to be dark. Yep, still dark. This is actually a time where if this were really live streamed, it'd be a great time to ask for help in chat, because I don't know what's up with this one. It's not a deal breaker if I can't get this to work, but maybe I can, I don't know, I guess Google for this one. Like, what am I even Googling for? Like reload dash environment variable from shell script or something. Refresh env variables after editing bash rc file. Well, you can type bash to start a new one, or you can just source your bash rc. Yeah, like why can't I do that from the script? Like I understand if I type in bash here, I have a new one, and now if I do this, like there we get the light. Like this is what I would like. But I don't want to have to do anything like that. Let's see if there's anything better in this answer here. No need to execute. No. Okay, so maybe I need to refine my search here. So like from shell script, whoa, what the hell? Did Google just show me icons? That's kind of interesting. I haven't seen that one yet, but okay. So shell script, set environment variable outside script, I guess, maybe like bash script to set environment variables not working. Okay. I've written this, he made a shell script and he does that. Okay. What's wrong? Yeah, this is exactly what's happening. So he's like, he's exporting this thing base or whatever. And now he runs the script, but he goes to echo base and he gets nothing. That's interesting. So what if I do the same thing here? So I'm exporting FCF default apps. So what if I run env, but I want to grep out FCF default apps here? Like what is this set to? I don't want to output all of my env because there's some tokens in there that are very private. I don't want to worry about what's it called, blurring those later, but let's see. So grep FCF, wait, it's default apps. Okay, so it's set to dark, even though I explicitly set it to light. So is this a situation where maybe the shell script, this is something I'm not 100% on, but maybe this export is only happening inside of the shell script, not the parent bash session that called the script. So like this totally works for the lifetime of the script, but when it exits out, the parent calling session doesn't get updated. That's gotta be it. Like, is there anything else about this one? Blah, 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 variable assignment, child process, export command was run. Your command line environment is the parent of the shell script, so it does not see the variable assignment. You can use blah, 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 command executing the current shell environment and choose what you want. Yeah, he's just saying to run that. Wait, the source command often sees create. Yeah, but that didn't work either. So this might be one of those things where it's just super annoying. Like if I open up another terminal here, and let me just bring that to view here, and I just start control R'ing, you know, we get the light mode. And then if I get rid of this line, I guess, well, we need to keep the change here. We'll get rid of the source, bring this back up to be sh, and then rerun the toggle script. I would expect this to be dark. And now if I open up a new terminal, bring this over in view, and then do a control R, it is now dark. Great. Okay. Again, toggle light, bring up new terminal, make this in view, control R, light. Okay. So at least that totally works. I'm not sure if this is a solvable problem, the one where getting this to work, like these exports to work from the parent process. If anyone knows how to do that in the comments, let me know. I feel like I'm rambling hardcore now, but if this were ever to be live streamed, like this is what life is like. Sometimes you run into things that either aren't possible to solve, or it would be very, very difficult to do this, right? Like there's probably some crazy way to modify the environment of like a parent's like environment or whatever, but that's probably going to involve insanity. And sometimes the 80-20 rule applies, right? Like this is a rule where I'm totally fine with this. Like if I have to run, open up a new terminal between switching these things, I'm not too upset about that one. Likewise, if I have 15 copies of Vim open, I'm not upset having to reload my Vim or source my Vim RC file in the ones that I want changed, because if I have 15 of them open, I probably don't want them all toggled anyways, because I'm only working with like, maybe one config file or one terminal session for like a YouTube video or something like that. But the other ones, if they're still set to light, like that's totally cool. So I actually think that what we're looking at here might be the end game script. So I know it's very tricky to do these live coding videos where you go and write something and then you look at it and it looks great, but then like you look at it again off video, like before you go to push it, and there's like some stupid mistakes in there or whatever. But I'll do that check before I actually push this up. But maybe some like light refactoring that I could do here. If you try to treat this as like these things happening in a specific order, like I would want the terminal one to happen first. That's, because the terminal is like the entry point for everything. And then it's like, once the terminal's config is changed, then maybe tmux would go next, because tmux is like, I see myself running something like Vim inside of tmux, not tmux inside of Vim. So, okay, I'll put tmux one after that. So, whoop, there we go. Then there's the other tmux one there. This one will go here. And then what do we have after that? We have Vim, and we also have the bash RC. So the bash RC, I think, should go even before the terminal. So maybe I'll change that. Sorry, after the terminal, I mean. And wait, what am I doing? That one needs to go here. Geez. So there we go. And then that goes there. And yeah, so we have dark, dark. These are dark colors, dark, and then the lights are on the right. Likewise, the lights are now on the left, darks are on the right. Cool. So I think that is all in the order that I would like it. I don't think it's going to make a difference in practice, because we're talking about like milliseconds of a difference in time. Like, but I do want the terminal to be updated, I guess, first. So let's see if this thing still works. So there's dark, there's light, there's dark, there's light. We know that for FCF that we need to open up a new terminal or whatever, or a new session for that to take effect. That's totally fine. Is this all good? Or I guess maybe we can wrap this up by just saying, like, once I put this up on my .files, you'll want to change the nick to be your directory. You'll also want to change, maybe get rid of the preview if you're not using the Microsoft Terminal preview. Not sure if this string here is randomized at the account level for Windows, or if this is specific to the application itself. So you might need to change that, maybe not. Again, also, if you're not even using Microsoft Terminal, you need to change this path. If you're not using Bash, if you're using like CSH or Fish or something, you want to change that. These are probably not going to change unless you're using NeoVim. Maybe that's a different location. But yeah, I think that's about it. I think that is about it. It is. So if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, because it really helps. If you have any questions or maybe improvements for the scripts, let us know in the comments below. That will be much appreciated. This is probably going to be a pretty long video. I didn't look at how long it is. But on that note, thanks a lot for watching, and I will see you in the next video.